For some reason, anytime I talk about any album from any semi-popular metalcore band in any capacity, no matter what I say about the album in question, metalcore fans lose their fucking minds. It happened with the Architects album review from last year. It happened with the Ice Nine Kills album review from last year. It even happened with the Spirit Box and Trivium album reviews from last year, which is so weird because I liked those albums. I was very positive about those albums, but apparently not positive enough. Apparently, metalcore fans don't listen to you unless you literally suck the album's dick. And while I would love to believe that 2022 will be better, I've really no reason to believe so. So we're gonna have a drink. We're gonna prepare for the worst. With that out of the way, let's talk about this new Underoath album. As kindly, but as brutally honest as fucking required. Please and thank you. Alright. Voyeurist is the 9th studio album from American metalcore and post-hardcore crew Underoath. I am told that they are quite important in the evolution and commercial success of metalcore, of post-hardcore, and to a certain extent Christian metal as well, seeing as how they openly identified as a Christian band, but I don't really know for sure because I didn't really pay much attention to Underoath until very recently. Quite frankly, the only album in their entire discography I'm familiar with in any capacity is their previous studio album, Erase Me, which was apparently the reunion album for the band and also saw them straying away from the Christian themes and lyrics that defined earlier records. Again, I don't know, because I didn't listen to those fucking records. But I did listen to Erase Me, and honestly, I thought it was pretty decent. But the worlds of metalcore and post-hardcore have changed a lot in the 4 years following the release of Erase Me. Bands like Code Orange, Turnstile, Knocked Loose, See You Space Cowboy, and many, 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 many more have continued to expand and break down the barriers of these genres. They've continued to redefine them. They've continued to grow more and more ambitious, more and more progressive. And unfortunately, in the midst of all of this change, older bands like A Day to Remember and Atreyu, for instance, have struggled to remain relevant and have dropped some of their most uninspired and overproduced music ever. For these exact reasons, I couldn't help but be just a little bit concerned when Underoath began sharing promo singles from this album, with Hallelujah in particular leaving a somewhat bitter taste in my mouth. It's by no means a terrible track, but it is ridiculously derivative of Bring Me the Horizon and Architects and mid-2000s Linkin Park, ultimately sounding like an incredibly cookie-cutter piece of radio-friendly hard rock and alt-metal drivel, like something I could hear in the background of a Hot Topic. But after listening to Voyeurist multiple times in its entirety, I do now feel pretty comfortable saying that, unlike most of their aging metalcore and post-hardcore peers, Underoath still have a few tricks up their sleeves. For one, the album is very immediate and very focused. While there are some funkier flavors to be found across the record, some electronic beats and even a guest spot from Ghostmain, the album doesn't really waste any time with any unwarranted or unnecessary experimentation. It's not interested in wild and weird and unpredictable genre fusions, nor is it interested in being like super crazy, politically charged or provocative or emotionally powerful. It's interested in being, first and foremost, a really strong collection of metalcore and post-hardcore tunes, and that is consistently where the album succeeds. The opening track, Damn Excuses, for instance, starts this album with a real triumphant swing of old-school hardcore hunger and muscle, but with modern production value. It's a very slick and well-polished cut, but despite that, it packs legitimate punch. I mean, this thing is beefier than Grandma's fucking stew, constantly piling on percussive beatdowns and big chunky riffs for days. You've also got a track like Cycle, which uses a lot of different experimental and colorful bells and whistles to elevate a pretty straightforward kind of late 90s, early 2000s post-hardcore template. It's vicious, it's very introspective and emotive. There are a lot of backing vocals and sound effects that make this feel like a genuinely monumental affair. And believe it or not, Ghostmane's very crazed and demented vocal harmonies complement this track quite nicely. It actually leads to a genuinely very explosive and cathartic climax. I feel like if any other aging rock or metal band were in Underoath's position, having enlisted the help of someone hot and young and popular like Ghostmane, they probably would have just taken the easy way out and made a super cheesy, lame, cringeworthy kind of trap metal banger, and it would have made me want to, like, die a little bit upon hearing it. Underoath didn't do that. For that reason alone, this album's immediately going to get a 0.5 added to the final score. Like, thank you, Underoath, for using your fucking brains and not making some super stupid shit. Though I have to say, my favorite track on the record might honestly be album closer Pneumonia. I like how moody and progressive it is. I like the soft-spoken vocals in the beginning and the piano work, contrasted with that dirty, almost doomy kind of Western guitar. And I like how it eventually evolves into this very mid-pace kind of modern metalcore bruiser. Though a close runner-up might be the track I'm pretty sure I'm out of luck and have no friends, as it's able to condense everything that Pneumonia does so well into a much smaller and tighter and leaner package. To a certain extent, these two tracks remind me of the melodrama I would now expect from a band like Sleep Token, but, in my opinion, way better executed. I also found myself really liking and even connecting with the concept of Voyeurist. As the band writes here in a press release, conceptually Voyeurist has several interrelated meanings, each tying back to the concepts of how we curate ourselves through social media and how that facade masks a lot of what we actually experience in life. Even some of the more straightforward kind of radio-friendly tracks like Take a Breath, We're All Gonna Die, and Numb I thought were pretty solid. The drumming in particular on Numb is very frantic. There's a really chaotic, almost kind of jazzy energy to the track that makes it all the more punchy and exciting. The aforementioned Hallelujah admittedly still doesn't really do anything for me, but hey, let's just do some math here. One shit track, along with a couple decent tracks and a slew of really good and even ambitious tracks with great production value and a surprisingly somewhat poignant and interesting concept, it's really hard not to argue with the final results here. Honestly, I'm going to give this a very enthusiastic 3.5 out of 5. I'm pleasantly surprised by this thing. It's not a great album, but it does have a lot of great ideas and a lot of great songs, and more importantly, even in its worst moments, is still mostly entertaining and interesting, excluding Hallelujah. But once again, what are you going to do? I'm sure that some angry metalcore fan will complain that I didn't give it a 5 out of 5 and I just didn't understand the concept, because that's what they always fucking do, but I'm not gonna let that bother me too much because I honestly really did enjoy the album. And you shouldn't let that bother you too much if you are a novice like myself, because this is a legitimately really good album. It might not win you over if you truly despise metalcore, but if you're open-minded to the genre, looking for something just a little bit different, you will find plenty to appreciate here. I would even go as far as to say that some aging metalcore and post-hardcore bands, like, say, the aforementioned A Day to Remember and Atreyu, should be paying close attention to what Underoath did on this album, and maybe they should take notes, and maybe they should be like, Maybe that's what we need to do next time around. Just a thought. Feel free to do with that information whatever you wish. So yeah, I'm running out of things to say at this point, so we're gonna wrap it up here. 3.5 out of 5. It's a pretty good album. I'm kind of shocked by how good it is. I was expecting it to kind of suck. I was expecting to feel the wrath of metalcore fanbase, and I very well may still feel their wrath, but fuck it. I enjoyed this album. Check it out. Why not? Fuck it. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I'm not an expert, nor do I claim to be, so what do you think? Do you like this album? Do you not like this album? What do you want to hear from me next? Thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe right here so you get updates on the Metal Meltdown fucking immediately. I am going to prepare for the incoming metalcore fanboy butthurt, but you, on the other hand, as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day. Oh boy, here we go.